So that's kind of mistake number one, is really not putting any value into the different things. Because I think people are just, why am I not getting more web traffic? Why am I not doing this? Why am I not ranking high enough? They don't really take the time to go look at the core tenets that Google puts it out there for the most part. Like, here's what we use. They keep some things hidden, obviously. But for them, it's like, we're pretty transparent. Like, here's our, top tenets of what we look for. Internal and external link building is always at the top of the list. Quality content, number one, always, content is king. But then backlinks are queen. That's what I always say.
Welcome to Show Me the Nuggets, where each week Joe chats with world-class entrepreneurs to find out the key principles, strategies, and processes that lie behind their outstanding achievements. Now, your host, the no bullshit serial entrepreneur, Joe Troyer.
So let's transition again. And I know people always love when I ask this, like when it comes to your forte, right? Link building. What do you think are some of the biggest mistakes that you see people out there making, whether it's agencies directly, or you see that SaaS companies after they're coming in and asking you for help and you're doing an audit or whatever? What do you see as kind of the top 3-4 mistakes that you're like, man, maybe they're missed. You're like, I just can't believe they're still doing this. Like, what? Yeah. I'd love to get your point of view or your take on that.
Right. So I think there's probably three. There's the big one where they're not doing anything. That's the majority, right? I've heard of link building, we've tried it in the past, but we just don't really do anything now. We're not, that's not, or my favorite one is like, SEO is not a priority for us. It's like, okay, if you're a web-based company, that probably should be your priority, but that's fine. So that's kind of mistake number one, is really not putting any value into the different things. Because I think people are just, why am I not getting more web traffic? Why am I not doing this? Why am I not ranking high enough? They don't really take the time to go look at the core tenets that Google puts it out there for the most part. Like, here's what we use. They keep some things hidden, obviously. But for them, it's like, we're pretty transparent. Like, here's our, top tenets of what we look for. Internal and external link building is always at the top of the list. Quality content, number one, always, content is king. But then backlinks are queen. That's what I always say. And so number one, they're avoiding it. Number two, they are going too hard, right? They're trying to go to these lists and get all these quantity links. And so they're just, throwing darts at a board, trying to figure out what's going to work, and nothing's really working. So then they get frustrated. And then if they are doing backlinking, they're kind of doing it the right way. They're trying to be intentional about it, but they're not monitoring it, right? So you could be building all these great links, and then 2 or 3 months later, that website just redid, their site. They updated some of their blog articles. Now that link is broken. That does nothing to help you. So you're not monitoring and tracking, because you can see like, oh, I built 10, 15, I built 50 this month, but then I've lost 5, and 20. You really have negated a lot of the progress that you made. So they're either not doing anything, they're doing it the wrong way, or they're just, not really paying attention to what's being done.
100%. Yeah, I completely agree with all of those. And I'm sure we all get clients that are all in similar boats. So yeah. It sounds like SaaS is very similar. So we talked a little bit about the question of like, when am I going to see results, right?
Yeah.
What we didn't talk about is like, how do you measure like the value of a link building campaign, right? Or right. If you dig in another layer, I'm sure you've been asked a million times, and I have been as well. Like, how do we measure the return on investment from this campaign, Joe?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I think every client is a little bit different. So one of the main things that we always do during that sales process, during the onboarding, is really, what is your goal? So if you are an affiliate site and you're getting paid off of clicks and traffic, you want to just, do a different type of link building, so you're just getting a lot of traffic. Whereas if you are providing software for an architecture firm, right, that's a very narrow market. And so you don't necessarily need 10,000 viewers every single month. You just need 100 really good ones. So we try to understand, in order to give you that ROI, what your intent is. So if I'm the affiliate site and I want all these links, we're going to go target different sites that are going to be within your wheelhouse, but then also are going to be, really high traffic sites that are going to have the most availability to draw away from that. So if it's like that page alone is getting 5,000 hits per month, then you can, guarantee that some of that might be clicking onto your site. So that's one approach. The other one, if you're more narrow, we're just going to really like hammer down on trying to get you on the best sites that are talking about architecture, right? So it doesn't really do you a favor if you're doing some of these other sites. Your intent is to get more clients in the architecture firm coming to your site. So for the ROI, it's definitely one that it's, what is your intent? We will figure that out. And then together we can, come up with a plan to develop the best link building campaign or the content one, right? I mentioned that we have a whole content team. We have 17 writers on staff right now, and they just specialize in producing amazing content. So making sure that we understand the intent of what the client is trying to convey and then how we can create the content around it.
Yeah, man, makes perfect sense. I saw you guys have, I think, packages, and it seems like some of them are monthly for a longer term, and maybe some are more, I don't know, quarterly, annually, something like that. Can you talk a little bit about how you guys have set up your packages or your pricing?
Yeah. So originally what we had done was more of the, like the retainer basis where you have a budget of 5,000 per month. I'll try to build as many links within these pricing tiers, and that works fine. And a lot of clients, kind of get frustrated sometimes. It's like, last month you were able to build 10, this month you were able to do 5. And so it's, it's like, yeah, well, last month we were doing a lot of the 70s. This month we try to focus more on the 90s. So there's fewer sites, costs a little bit more. So on the site right now, we are actually updating that. So we're moving it from kind of like these 2 different packages. Now we have like multiple packages. So you kind of start off at, the smaller end where you're only getting a few links per month, and then moving up to a larger one that we have been testing with some of our clients right now. And we've gotten a lot of positive feedback. So we're going to be like rolling that out. But it's one of those things where you have a certain amount of budget allocated to do, this type of SEO work. So you want to make sure that it's consistent across the board. So for us, trying to make sure that we're working with our clients to deliver consistency is key. So having some of these packages we think is a little bit better, where we're guaranteeing you'll get 5 70s, 2 60s, 150, right? Instead of just, we'll just try to get it where we can.
Sure. What are your thoughts then on link velocity? You touched on it a little bit, right? But like you want to have long-term, link building efforts, not short-term. So what are your thoughts when it comes to link velocity? Like, are most of your clients sticking around like really, really long-term? Is that something you guys are really focused on, or you're not so concerned about the link velocity?
Yeah, I mean, I think client retention is good for any business, right? I mean, the longer you work with somebody, the more familiar you're going to be with them, the better you can deploy your resources on their behalf, because you understand, what their pain points are, what they're trying to accomplish. Whereas if you're constantly churning out clients, you're having to figure that out kind of on the fly every single month. But at the same time, we understand that directions change, priorities change, budgets get cut, budgets get added. So it's just, it's different every time. But for us, it's, we do everything month to month. Some people will probably hear that and like cringe. But for me, like I hate getting tied into long-term contracts. And so that month to month really allows us to be able to put a fire under us too, to make sure that we're delivering the best results so that a client is willing to continue on with us every month. And then as far as like the long-term commitment with us, we've seen clients that will work with us for 1 or 2 months and they leave, just because they were like, yeah, I just wanted to try it out. And then we have these other ones that have been with us since the beginning, right? They, we've been around since 19, so about 3 years. And, they just love what we're doing and, seeing a lot of great results, and, it's relatively affordable for them. So we keep going. But, we're good to kind of go anywhere. I would love to have the client that sticks around forever and, we get to work with them for the long term, but I'm also okay to work with the people in the short term, just because that's your intent. And I understand that as a business owner. I understand that as like a startup founder, that you are just, limited to what you can do. So, I'm willing to work with you, because what we do is that relationship driven, right? So that doesn't stop at just like our partner sites that we're building links on. That goes to our clients as well. Like if you're going to be with us for a few months, that's great. Let's end it on a great note. And then hopefully maybe down the road, we can pick this up again.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. I think a lot of people in the link building space, I think in all marketing, but really in the link building space, feel some type of way, right? A lot of people are jaded in the link building space. I think that probably by you guys offering flexibility, I bet that you get people in the door to purchase and to try it that probably wouldn't have. And then I bet with the quality that you guys provide and the results that you provide, you actually probably have a good chance at catching them and keeping them, right? Because of your quality.
Yeah. I had worked for a company kind of like a few years ago. It was a wholesale distribution company. They were owned by one of the largest companies in the world, Fortune, like I think 100. So the guy that I was working for there really taught me a good lesson about, that long-term commitment. So if he could not sign a long-term contract, he would do that aggressively. So whenever we were vetting vendors, it was, yeah, if, we're going to commit you to a 1-year contract, it was like, okay, well, can we do that 6? Can we not do a contract? We're willing to pay a little bit more, because it helps for you as the client to, have that out where I'm not, I have a terrible service, but I'm locked in this contract. I'm going to be paying all these fees to get out of it, or I'm going to have to get legal involved. So it's super annoying if you're not living up to your expectation, while, on the provider standpoint, it's like, if I know that you have the ability to leave whenever, I'm not going to mess around here, and I'm not going to, slack off for a couple of months. I'm going to really try to do my best effort and make sure that I'm winning your business every single month. So for us, yeah, I mean, it's a little bit scary, it's never great, having somebody work with you that could just leave at any second. That's not fun. But at the same time, it, is good in the long run, I think, for both parties to, hold that accountability, because, we want them to stick around, and they want us to, do the service that they're paying for.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. I think looking at your guys' site as well, you guys have obviously done a really good job. Probably one of the best jobs I've seen as an agency actually building out their site, right? Most agencies are like, do this, I'm telling you it'll work, but don't look at what I'm doing, because it's not very good. I think you guys have lots of good content on your site. You've done a really good build out. You talked about being around for roughly 2 years. I mean, you guys are a DR62. So for other agencies looking to maybe follow in your guys' footsteps, any tips on doing, replicating some of your guys' success there?
Yeah, I'm glad that you like our site too, especially the DR rating, because I'm always looking at we should be better, right? And that's just, as the owner, you want the best. And I think my advice would be, if you are an agency or a service provider, you should be client number one. So, for us, we should treat ourselves like we should be looking at our links. We should be looking at our content. And that wasn't always a priority. You definitely want to do that to get your foot in the door. But, there are times, there are months, there are, periods in our business where we're just so focused on doing all these things for our clients, or, trying to build our team out, or, make sure our bank is taken care of. You're onboarding into a new system behind the scenes. A lot of that takes time. So then you're kind of forgetting about your site. You're forgetting about kind of what you're doing as well. So making sure that's at the forefront of your mind, and saying we're another client. We need to be building our links. We need to be producing this content is really key. And that's been a really big focus for us this year. Especially on the content side, right? We have these great writers, and we weren't kind of updating our site as much as we should. We had some articles that were like, yeah, best, software for 2019. It's 2022, right? And that's one of the first things that you're seeing on there. It's like, okay, let's get this updated ASAP. So that's been a big priority for us. So I would just, recommend that, if you're inviting people over to your house for a party, they might all come, but if you didn't clean or do anything else, they might not have a good time when you're there. So, try to just keep yourself as a priority as well.
100%. Yeah, I think that's super important these days. I think, like you said, expertise is important. Being niche relevant is important. I think, if we all as marketers looked at our businesses like we look at our clients' businesses, right? When we're doing our competitive analysis and figuring out what they need to do to rank, we'd all be much better off. So definitely agree with you.
Yeah.
So cool, man. This has been really valuable. I'm sure people are going to love this. If somebody wants to connect with you personally, Michael, what's the best social platform or place to do that?
Yeah. I mean, I basically live in LinkedIn. So yeah, go ahead and add me, everybody. It helps, get more connections there. I actually I'm not huge in social media. Like, I'm in marketing, but I have Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all these other things. I actually deleted like all the apps off of my phone. So because I'm just busy doing other things and it's just a time suck for me. So LinkedIn is great. You can also, right on our site, reach out to us. We have a contact form in there. And then you can always email me too. It's just michael@mediaberry.io. Pretty straightforward. So yeah, I mean, great to connect with anybody who's listening.
Yeah, for sure. So definitely recommend you guys check out MediaBerry and what they're up to. I definitely like what they're doing. I like their approach. If you got a client maybe where you have an opportunity to refer them to MediaBerry, definitely check them out. And wrapping up, Michael, I always ask for one book recommendation from each of our guests that we have on the show. I feel like a lot of people ask for like 3. I'm a little ADD. Like I've recently given myself permission to, if I don't love a book, to actually put it down and to not finish it. Which has been key for me because I suffered through a lot of really bad books. So whenever I get the opportunity to chat with somebody smart like yourself, somebody I admire, somebody that's doing cool things, I always like to ask them for their favorite book.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that's good about putting the book down, right? I have done that as well, where it's like, yeah, I mean, I started the book, I'm going to finish it. By the time you're done, like, this could have been like a 1-paragraph thing, and you basically just expanded it into a 200-page book. Like, thank you for wasting my time. But yeah, so for me, I think a really good book and one that I recommend a lot is it's from Dan Pink. It's called Drive.
Okay.
So his whole book is looking at what motivates people and what has the intrinsic value versus extrinsic value. So they did like a really great study and did a lot of research on these performance-based incentives. If you are doing X amount of work, you're going to receive a 20% comp bonus or whatever. And they actually found that the more you incentivize people financially, the worse that their performance did, which is counter to American culture, capitalism. A lot of the things that we're told is like, I'll do really well if you pay me. But when you boil it down, more people really just want to have, value. They want to see that the company that they're working for is doing something good in the world, and that their job has meaning. Because I think 2 generations probably ahead of us, it was just you stayed at the same company for 40 plus years, just doing the same task repetitively for 40 years. And so if I just did a little bit faster, I'll get paid a little bit more. And that's where that kind of performance incentive really comes into play. But then moving now into more of this kind of like high level working, it's less routine tasks because we have software to automate a lot of that for us. So it's like a lot like right brain. We have to figure out different ways to motivate our employees. So I think that one is a really good one to kind of think about the way that you are running your business in a different light, and how you are motivating your employees and even motivating yourself to be working at the best level.
Yeah, I love it. Thanks for the recommendation. I actually haven't heard of that one.
Yeah.
And for me, that's what it's all about, is like that perspective shift of like, you get to the end and you're like, wow, I'm thinking about this differently now. I have a new point of view. And I think that's where all the big breakthroughs come from. So
and
awesome,
for that
man,
one too, I mean, if you do suffer from ADD and reading books, he has like a TED talk that's 8 minutes, talks about the whole thing.
Ooh.
So it's a lot easier to get that concept down.
All right. Eduardo, make sure when you're listening to this and you do the post-production, let's put that in the show notes for everybody that has ADD, just like I do, and maybe Michael too. And Michael, man, thanks for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. Thanks for sharing. Definitely a great episode that I know people are going to enjoy.
Yeah, it's great talking to you.
All right, guys. Joe Troyer signing out. See you, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in to Show Me the Nuggets. If you've been enjoying the podcast and find our content helpful, please visit our Apple Podcast page, hit the subscribe button, and leave us a review. Joe and the whole team have been working hard to bring more value to the show. Your feedback will go a long way in helping us make the show better and reach a wider audience.